What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 5th episode of the Coughy Show. My name is Mike, and I got Eric with me again.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
So first, we'll start with introducing our new product for the week. We've got some new CBD gummies and CBD hard candies that are vegan and gluten-free and all that fun stuff. And they're both available in 150 milligram and 250 milligram.
150 is the hard candy, 250 is the gummies.
Gotcha. And then was there 5 different flavors?
5 gummies, 4 of the hard candy.
Gotcha. So, yep, come try out the new stuff. First thing we're going to talk about is these clowns trying to ban flavored vape juice now. So I think a lot of this is them not understanding what the problem is. So the first point is teen vaping. Teens have been smoking cigarettes for years. I mean, I've been out of high school for like a long time now, but at pretty much any school, there's a known spot where kids go to smoke cigarettes before and after school, and the problems existed for a long time. And you know, we can't legally say that vaping is safer than cigarettes, but my friends who vape seem to be healthier than my friends that smoke cigarettes, so take that for what it's worth. But so how are they going to ban vape juice, but then they're not going to ban cigarettes? Like, it's a broader problem than just vaping.
Yeah, a lot more people smoke cigarettes than vape in the world. Whether it's a bigger business they think now or not, more people are going to chain smoke cigarettes than vaping. That's just always going to be the case.
Right, and you know, how many people die every year from cigarettes, and they even have the warnings on the box that they're deadly, and they're still legal for some reason. So why is it that there's 6 deaths that aren't even actually related to nicotine-based vape juices, and they're going to ban nicotine-based vape juices off of that?
Right. And I mean, I personally use the Juul I have for a long time. I started to smoke in my early teens and then was 2 packs a day by the time I was 18. The Juul is the only thing that has ever worked for me to quit smoking. And this is like the first year that I've ever went through the winter and not had bronchitis and pneumonia. So I'm like, you can't really say that e-juice is worse. You know, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but it definitely has been better for me because I didn't get sick this year because it's the first year I didn't smoke cigarettes through the winter.
Nice. So then the second part of this issue is they're kind of lumping this together. The recent deaths that have been caused are due to black market THC cartridges, not nicotine. The same carrier liquids aren't used in both processes. So I want to say it's a hospital or a university out of Utah actually linked the oils in people's lungs to vitamin E. So these people are mixing the THC with vitamin E to create these vape cartridges to make them look like they're thicker, because viscosity is kind of a measurement of quality.
Yeah.
And apparently when vitamin E gets vaped, it vaporizes, but it turns back into a liquid after it cools back down. So then people are ending up with these deposits of vitamin E in their lungs. And some people are getting caught early and they're able to get them back to healthy, and then some people are getting caught too late, and that's where we're seeing these deaths from.
Yeah, and I mean, I had a look when they said vitamin E. I think it was New York was the first state that thought it was vitamin E, because I was like, well, how, you know, if it's a vitamin, I get not everything's meant to be combusted and smoked, but it's not like vitamin E where you would take it as like a vitamin every day. This is a vitamin E that would be like cosmetics. They're putting it in sunscreen, makeup, you know, things that obviously you would never consume orally or in your body. This is something that was intended as a topical.
Oh, really? So it's not the same vitamin E that goes in like a capsule?
Yeah, it's not like a capsule. It's a different version of vitamin E that you would put in like women's makeup, foundation, sunscreen.
So not men's makeup, but women's makeup.
Men's makeup as well. Whoever's makeup, unisex makeup in the world, but not any vitamin E that you would think, oh, I could take it as a capsule and be fine. They're 2 separate ones. Where I'm like that. Well, that makes it the problem, because you know you're smoking something that goes in sunscreen, or foundation, or so many other things that obviously common sense would say that's not something that's safe to consume orally at all. That's intended to go on your skin and be washed off or rinsed off the same day.
Okay. So then if the problem is black market THC cartridges, how do we go about fixing that problem? We ban nicotine flavored vape juices,
or we end prohibition.
That's the answer. So if you end prohibition and you have regulation on these products and all these products are being tested, then you knock these idiots out of the market and they can't pump their product anymore. I mean, yeah, maybe they can compete based on price, but if things get to federally legal, then I think that the price for a lot of these products is going to go down significantly, so it would just knock their market out.
Yeah, and then that would give them the option as well, guidelines. You would actually have regulations you would keep, ensuring things are lab tested, having true and accurate lab tests. A lot of lab tests don't give you quality, they give you more percentages, but then at least you know that you're not smoking vitamin E, you're not smoking pesticides, you're not smoking Drano because somebody whipped something up in their bathroom.
Right.
You actually know what you're getting. Because I mean, any cartridge packaging, you can't tell when you look at one that came from a real place that was manufactured well and one that somebody made. Packaging's always going to be the easiest thing in the world. To fake, it's easy.
Right.
We all see off-brand, clothes, Fucci shoes, everything, and you don't really know the difference without having something that says, hey, this is what it is, this is where it's made, this is what it's got, this is safe, this isn't.
Right. So, in conclusion here, do not smoke any of those garbage cartridges. Dank vapes, Kingpins, Exotics, Mario Karts, Supremes. Why would you think that Supreme makes a cartridge?
Yeah,
Supreme is not in the industry.
That's not their goal. They
Supreme
make hoodies,
makes clothing.
Yeah, bumper stickers, not cartridges.
Right. So stay away from that stuff. Moving on. So we're back to talking about hemp fuel being an option again now that hemp is federally legal. So they're saying that hemp is potentially 5 times cheaper than gasoline. They're saying it could be produced for about $1.37 a gallon plus the cost of feedstock, and then with technological improvements and tax credits reducing the price another $1 or so per gallon.
What does a gallon of gas go for now? $3, $2.50?
I want to say last time I paid it was somewhere around like $2.80 or $3.
Look at like Calabasas, it's $5.99 a gallon. Like that's a huge difference.
Right, and we would get to a point where it's no longer regionally based. How much that fuel is going to cost. Like you're in California, so your fuel is going to be higher.
Right.
You're in the Midwest, so the fuel is going to be cheaper. Whatever. That's the beauty of hemp, is it can pretty much be grown in all these different climates, so you can have your plant there and produce your fuel right there in your state and not have to worry about buying fuel or oil or any of that stuff from overseas and feeding markets that we don't necessarily need to be feeding,
and sucking it out of the ocean floor, which we've seen time and time again that always ends poorly and is a disaster.
We're sorry. Our bad.
Yeah.
We didn't mean to do that.
Thanks, BP. We're still recovering from that one.
Right. So, a few points about hemp here. Doesn't need as much fertilizer or water as corn, switchgrass, or other energy crops. Doesn't require any expensive drying like corn or sugarcane. Can be grown where energy crops can't. Less resistant to adverse fall weather than other crops. Long been known to be the lowest moisture, highest cellulose crop, and it also remediates the soil and extracts heavy metals and pollutants from the soil. So not only is hemp beneficial to humans, animals, pretty much any living thing, but it's also beneficial to the environment. It's pulling toxic and pesticides and stuff out of the soil just as it's growing. That's part of the process. And then again, hemp can be grown in nearly any type of soil, which means that any country around the world can grow its own fuel, as I mentioned before. So, I mean, this was actually back in the 1800s when the diesel invention, or the diesel engine, was invented, he was talking about potentially using hemp as a fuel source, and then, you know, we get these corporations like Standard Oil and Gulf Oil and DuPont that came in and were a big part of the prohibition for hemp.
Yeah. I seen another article a few days ago that was Ford, or was it was Ford, the Ford car, but
yep.
It was a motor that would run off of hemp, and the car, again, like the airplane we talked about a few weeks ago, was made primarily out of hemp. So, you know, obviously you're not using all the steel. Steel prices are insane anymore, and it's, you know, better for the environment, and they think it's 30% more durable than steel would be.
Right. So it all comes back to greed.
Yeah, money,
yeah.
dollars.
Moving on, in Idaho, these guys are still having trouble. This has been going on for a few months now. These guys, a company had hired a driver to move 7,000 pounds of hemp to a different state, and this driver has been now charged with a drug trafficking crime because these people can't discern that it's hemp and not marijuana. So they went through the 9th District of Appeals Court and got it thrown out there, but they even have a legal opinion from the USDA saying that, you know, this is a legal product and they're allowed to have it, but these people in Idaho are still fighting it. So it's just stupid. It just keeps coming back to it needs to be federally legalized, and all these other government entities need to be on board with that. That's why, like we mentioned a few weeks ago, the DEA had to make an announcement telling these local law enforcement agencies, yo, CBD is legal. You guys need to stop wasting your time. So we've got these different government entities battling each other, not even battling us anymore, really, because they can't get their heads out of their asses and discern that, you know, this is legal. Stop messing with it.
Yeah, that's a big part of their government entities. It's not a group, it's not the far right, the Green Party, it's not a person. That's a government body that's saying 2018 Farm Bill guarantees the transport. It's not a company, you know, that's saying, oh, well, we say it's okay. That's the government saying it's okay, but it's an internal battle of, an internal battle, yes, but I think it's more of, you know, people's personal opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
As a governing body, you don't get a personal opinion.
Personal opinions and lack of education.
Yeah, you follow the law. USDA says that's the law. DEA says this is the law. A judge, yeah, they deal with the law, but you're not following the law. You're going off what you feel, what you believe, and that's the issue. You know, same with the police that don't want to return it. That's the law.
And part of your job as the judge is to keep up on these laws. Like, yeah, what you're enforcing was a law last year, but it's not anymore. So your job is to stay current on that stuff, and you should have people that are, you know, doing this research for you. And, you know, this case shouldn't be drug out this long.
Yeah, like, police are not judge and jury for a reason. You're there to enforce laws, not decide which you get to pick and choose, and if I go with an old one or go with a new one. Laws come out, things change. You're there to enforce them, not decide. You can't pick and choose what you want out of, you know, the criminal justice system.
Right.
You follow it all as a whole.
But it's cool that these companies are still, you know, fighting the good fight. They say, you know, we're not going to hold off shipping hemp. We're just going to be more cautious about what states we ship hemp through.
Yeah.
So, part of their reasoning here, the judge's reasoning, I should say, is that they're holding off until all of the rules are completely in place from the 2018 Farm Bill. And they were supposed to have those done by August of this year, but now they're saying that the rules will be in place by the 2020 growing season. So, government dragging their feet.
Always. Bureaucracy.
Moving on, an alkaline water company, the company that makes Alkaline 88, is pushing into the CBD market. And, you know, this is still kind of iffy to me because we spoke about this last week about bars and restaurants and stuff having issues with mixing CBD into beverages and food But then how does a company like this get away with mixing it into a product and putting it all over America?
Yeah, true. Like, are you going through the FDA? Or are they going to say, yes, it's okay for you? Like, what makes you different from the rest of the pack that it's okay for you, but not for everybody else that would want to use it?
Right. And another annoyance on that same level for me is that we've had in the past, it's gotten easier now, having such an issue with credit card processing when you sell CBD products. I'm pretty positive that Alkaline 88's not having that problem. Whole Foods isn't having that problem.
Right.
Walgreens, CVS that sell garbage CBD products aren't having that problem. So, again, it all comes back to the money. We even had merchant service providers saying that, if you do $100,000 a month, or if you do $250,000 a month, it's okay. But if you're under $50,000, we're not going to waste our time.
Right, exactly. Like, who cares about the little guys?
So, they're using a water-soluble CBD, so that's good. And they've already got a brand name out called Soothe, and they're now developing an array of CBD-infused beverage shots, along with tinctures, capsules, and powder packs. So, aside from my crying there, it is cool to see these larger corporations pushing into CBD, because that's just going to help fuel the fight, Money's a problem, as I mentioned before, but money can also be a good thing when this big money gets behind it. Just like the tobacco industry has big money behind it, and that's why they have so much ease skirting the law.
Yeah, it's cool to see new things pop up with CBD. There's already so much, so anything that's like a new product that kind of fits that niche is just interesting, because there's so many different options. That water is a cool way if you're not someone that wants to do tinctures all day or capsules or anything else. Right. Especially with like people that are working out or at the gym, golfing on a golf course. There's just so many options where it'd be an easy way to take the CBD and have it and feel better and not have to worry about like I've got to get up in the morning and do a few drops or
you're already drinking water, so you just combine it.
Right, two good things together doesn't hurt.
Right. So moving on, this is from Yahoo, and I got to give Yahoo some credit. They did a really good write-up on CBD here and educating people on the endocannabinoid system and stuff. So it's cool to see these articles that don't just give like basic information about people using CBD. They actually like take the time to do their research and completely educate people on how your body absorbs CBD and how your body actually like creates CBD on its own. Yeah,
they're not doing the Spark Notes version. They actually sit down and want to know what they're talking about before they put these articles out that God knows how many people see a news article in a day, especially when you Google CBD, a million things come up. So they actually took their time to say like, let's not look like we're just trying to throw in some fluff. Let's see what we're talking about before.
Right, they're not just jumping on the hype train.
Exactly, before we just push it off to a bunch of people, because that gives it the stigma. If you don't know what you're talking about, I've always learned it's a lot easier to say, hey, I don't know, than to just come up with something, because a lot of people are still scared of CBD, not understanding the big difference between THC and CBD. So once they realize, this is what it is, this is what it does, this is how it works in the body, that kind of takes away that fear of I don't understand, I don't know.
So in the article, they're saying that the Center for Disease Control says that 49.6%, nearly half of all seniors, suffer from arthritis. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So their first line of defense or treatment, I guess you say, for osteoarthritis pain is anti-inflammatory drugs. So that's going to be like Tylenol, ibuprofen, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with long-term use, their efficacy declines, and then they can also lead to major side effects like other pharmaceuticals.
Gabapentin.
Gastrointestinal disease and cardiovascular events. So your supposed medicine ends up just causing you bigger issues. So they did a poll, and they're saying now 8% of people over 65 have admitted to using CBD products. That means about 4 million seniors have taken the leap into that.
And I mean, with seniors, you have to think, when people 65 and over, when they were in their 20s, I don't think there was CBD. That wasn't a thing that anybody considered. That wasn't ever an option. It's a big jump for somebody that, you know, that's in the senior citizen age range that actually would say, oh, you know, let's try something different. Because those are people that, you know, they weren't talking about CBD on the news 40 years ago.
Right, they went through that prohibition.
Yeah, they weren't sitting, you know, on every shelf in every gas station and every corner store. You couldn't find something that had CBD in it. It's such a new thing to them. It's cool that, you know, they take the time to actually see, hey, what is it? And it might work for me. Let's try it out.
Right, and that's probably, like you're saying, that's about the hardest age range to reach with it, because they're just like we see in these government institutions. It's a lot of older people in the office, and they're stuck in their ways, and you know what they've learned for so long is what they believe to be truth. So they're not very receptive to taking in new information or trying new things.
Yeah, you know, and they're not on social media as much as younger generations, where you know, you see ads on Instagram and on Facebook and everything else. A lot of that, you know, news for older people, it may come from Facebook, but it tends to come from, you know, the news on TV, newspaper articles, you know, an actual physical newspaper that they're reading and picking up on Sunday mornings, which, you know, most people don't advertise in papers as much as they used to. So that's a big jump for them to actually see it there and then consider it, you know, and then obviously having to do some research to think maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. That's a hard market to target because they don't see it on Instagram all day long typically, and, you know, Snapchat and everywhere else.
Right, a lot of it is their grandkids and their kids trying to help their grandparents, you know what I'm saying? They see them suffering and they just want to help. So in this study, they said that CBD is stimulating bone formation and inhibits bone resorption. They found that CBD that's in your body, coupled with taking it from the plant extraction, they work together to help the body fight inflammation, which is the main source of discomfort when it comes to arthritis.
Yeah.
So after all this research, they're saying that there may be a therapeutic benefit, and that the study shows for the first time that it is an effective anti-inflammatory agent, and thus CBD may be a safe therapeutic treatment for osteoarthritis pain locally, as well as to block acute inflammatory flares that drive disease progression and joint neuropathy. So that's kind of cool that it's not only going to give you temporarily relief, but it's also going to help prevent the disease from progressing further.
Yeah, maybe even regenerate some of that.
Yeah, so it's not just a band-aid like taking Advil or something.
Yeah.
Because Advil, again, it's just an anti-inflammatory. It's not actually doing anything to prevent the disease from going further.
Yeah, and, you know, long-term Advil, that's going to be really hard on your liver and your kidneys. It's not a practical solution for long-term prevention.
Right. In our last article here, we have a mom in Utah that is trying to use a legal CBD oil that's actually, the product is called Endo-C, and it was actually endorsed by the government. They have the ability to sell it there. But we have another case here of the government fighting government. So we have a stubborn judge who doesn't understand, and they say he doesn't understand the state's new medical marijuana law, but to me that doesn't really have anything to do with it. Like, she's trying to consume CBD, not THC, so what does a medical marijuana law have to do with that?
Yeah, well, and in hers, you know, in her case, obviously we'll link this one below. These people clearly have had, you know, a hard enough year just reading the article with, you know, personal issues like everyone in America has. But it's not even like, you know, she goes into a store and just buys a CBD product. She actually had a prescription for an experimental, you know, CBD drug that's made from a congressman in the state that, you know, that they passed off as a prescription, and she's still having an issue with it. Like, how does a judge say your doctor, you know, writes you this prescription and you get in this trial, but he's not okay with you taking it, when clearly someone that's educated, like, you know, a doctor, pharmacist, somebody that was in Congress, makes this product, and then he still says, well, you know, you're gonna have issues with it. I just don't get how the correlation goes where an able-bodied adult can't make the decision to take something, you know, that she consulted with whoever else, you know, in her own time under the supervision of her doctor, and then the judge just say, well, it's not going to work.
The judge has a law degree. The judge does not have a medical degree.
Exactly.
And what it comes down to here is they're trying to take her kids away because she's using CBD. And the reason that she's using CBD is because she suffers nerve damage from a car accident nearly 20 years ago. And anybody that's been in a car accident knows those pains just like, they might not appear for a year or two, or they might appear immediately, but they just like drag on forever.
Yeah, you never get 100% back when you have those accidents, and it's like you really feel like, personally, I just think of it like, how is it logical that CBD, if it works for her, why would that be a problem when you could go get 100 prescriptions for pain pills from a doctor, and you can't drive, operate heavy machinery, you sleep all day, you can't be a parent, a wife, a mom, and take care of your house and home a lot, because a lot of people with pain pills, they just don't have that energy and that clear-headed to actually do things, drive a car, cook dinner. It really takes away from your quality of life as an adult at that point.
Right. So in my opinion, what this comes down to is like education. Like maybe some of these larger CBD companies need to put some of their money into efforts to educate their local governments and bring in these judges and politicians and all these people who are fighting against it to show them like you're not fighting a good fight.
Yeah, and like they say, well, the issue is she failed for THC. You're in a medical state though. So if you have a prescription, it's not like in Nebraska where there is no medical marijuana. Then, I could understand if a judge were to say, well, it's still THC, yeah, it's a problem, they don't get it, but like, you're in a medical state, it was written by a doctor, but you still say, well, I want to take your kids away because you're taking a prescription that helps. I'll never understand.
So they're not very clear here. I don't know that Endo C that they're using must be a full spectrum product and not a pure CBD product. So I don't know how much, they don't go into details about how much she's consuming or anything like that. So we don't really know, why she's failing for THC. She would, in our full spectrum products, we're not legally going to tell you that you can pass a drug test, but most likely with the full spectrum product, unless you're consuming an insane amount, you should be completely fine.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all we've got for you this week. Give us some feedback. Stay tuned. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.